Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
San Diego County jails have seen a record number of deaths. Now the family of a woman who died is getting their day in court. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Today, a preliminary hearing got underway for the nurse and doctor charged in her death. As KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado shows us, the victim's family rallied outside the courthouse.
Justice for Elisa Cerna!
Justice for Elisa Cerna!
After many delays and nearly 4 years after Elisa Cerna died at Las Colinas Detention Center, a preliminary hearing for Dr. Frederic Von Lintig and nurse Danilee Pasqua was held at the San Diego County Superior Court in El Cajon. Paloma Cerna, Elisa's mother, says this day has been a long time coming.
It's an exciting moment. We've been waiting for since 2019 to get the truth out to the public.
Von Lintig and Pasqua are charged with the death of 24-year-old Cerna, who was in custody on a charge of petty theft. Both pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter.
They can't get away with it anymore. Stand up.
Before the hearing, Cerna's family and others whose loved ones died in jail gathered for a rally outside the courthouse.
So many lives. The list goes on and on. We have to make sure that this list does not grow, and that's what we're here for.
Cerna's mother, Paloma, says she wants the world to see what she saw, video evidence of her pregnant daughter dying inside a San Diego County jail cell, and no one coming to help her. Officials originally told her family she died of a drug overdose.
What we're going to see is Elisa being neglected and dying in her cell today, with the nurse walking away, leaving her there to die.
Her father says in public he's strong and steadfast, fighting for justice for his daughter.
We need change, Governor Newsom. You need to stop just letting it go on as usual, a good old boys club.
But when he's alone with her memory, it's a different story.
I would tell my daughter that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't. I lay awake in bed every night, whispering the words I would love for her to hear. But she can't come back, and she can't hear me.
And what are those words?
That I love her, that she would be proud of her daughter.
The Cernas returned to San Diego County from Montana to attend the hearing and say they will remain here until justice is done. But they believe real justice would mean more people would be charged with their daughter's murder and the death of her unborn baby.
I always will believe that even after we get justice. I always will. I'll die with that, knowing that, yes, there could be more.
If convicted, Von Lintig and Pasqua each face 4 years in prison, a sentence the family says is too lenient. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
And the judge did not allow cameras in the courtroom, and the trial will continue tomorrow. Tonight, there are serious safety concerns south of the border. The mayor of Tijuana is moving into military housing after receiving multiple death threats. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis spoke with Mayor Montserrat Caballero about the move and what it means for the city.
Tijuana City Hall is actually called Palacio Municipal, which translates to Municipal Palace. This imposing cement structure is the seat of Tijuana's political power, and that seat belongs to the mayor, Montserrat Caballero. She says this seat isn't just for fancy photo ops, it comes with a heavy cost. Caballero says that in a city like Tijuana, and in a country like Mexico, elected officials understand the risk of holding public office. She should know. Tijuana's mayor and her son are moving into a military base next week. The decision came at the suggestion of the Mexican National Guard after Caballero received multiple death threats. Caballero says she got voicemails from men threatening to kill her family unless she resigned. The mayor's move renews focus on Tijuana's safety and the status of Mexican democracy.
But I think it raises more interesting questions just about the quality of democracy in Mexico, right? And who's going to run then for office.
Cecilia Farfan is head of research at the Center for U.S. and Mexican Studies at UC San Diego.
Like when you have this type of situation happen, then it becomes a question of like, well, if I was thinking of maybe running to be mayor of Tijuana, if these are the security conditions now, am I really interested, in running for that?
This environment also casts doubt on elected officials who aren't being threatened. Are they in cahoots with criminal organizations? Caballero is certainly trying to portray her current situation that way.
¿No le parece extraño que
Tijuana's mayor says that her administration has taken 1,700 guns off the streets and arrested more than 60 murder suspects. She claims mayors in other cities aren't being threatened. She says that if she were actually in league with cartels, she wouldn't be in this situation.
Si yo tuviera nexos con el narcotráfico, no me estarían persiguiendo.
Despite the threats against her, Caballero wants the people of Tijuana to believe the city's still safe. She says those who don't go looking for trouble won't find any.
Tijuana es una ciudad segura para el ciudadano común.
Caballero says that 80% of homicides in Tijuana are tied to drug sales. More than 2,000 people were murdered in Tijuana last year. And just in the first 5 months of this year, 769 people have been murdered. However, Farfan says that there's a tendency in Mexico to minimize violent crime as something that only happens to bad people.
When you turn it just into, just criminals killing each other, then unfortunately there's, as you said, no incentive to really address it.
People in Mexico tend to believe that as long as crime stays in working-class neighborhoods and out of the rich and tourist areas, then it's under control. Public and private boosters have poured millions of dollars into Tijuana's manufacturing, medicine, tourism, and culinary sectors. News that the mayor is moving to a military barracks could scare off potential investors and tourists. Again, here's Farfan from the Center of U.S. and Mexico Studies.
I think, unfortunately, Tijuana is part of the border narrative that is always casted in this perpetual zone in crisis.
It's worth noting that Tijuana is a city of 2 million people. The vast majority of them have no interaction with crime. Caballero is trying to project an image of strength and security.
Y la realidad es que yo no tengo miedo.
She says she's not afraid. She's still attending public events and walking on the streets of Tijuana. She has no plans to step down. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
This evening, constituents have a chance to hear from the candidates vying for District 4's seat on the County Board of Supervisors. A forum will be held at Rich's, San Diego, and Hillcrest. Candidates Janessa Goldbleck, Paul McQuigg, Monica Montgomery Stepp, and Amy Reichert will be asked to share their stances on a variety of issues, including homelessness, mental health, and law enforcement. The forum starts at 6:30 tonight, and the event will also be live streamed on the LGBTQ San Diego County News Facebook page. Oceanside's first homeless shelter is expected to open next month, but the road there took a lot more time and a lot more money than expected. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne looked into the increased costs and the delays.
The city of Oceanside and the San Diego Rescue Mission have been working together since late 2021 on the city's first homeless shelter. The center will be set up at the old Ocean Shores High School campus. But the property required a complete overhaul. The city agreed to carry the cost of the remodel, originally estimated at around $2 million. That amount has now increased to $7 million.
There were cost overruns, had a lot to do with just really ancient kind of on-site stuff like asbestos removal and things like that that are very costly.
Costs added up when changes to the original plans were made. The addition of Oceanside's code enforcement office and a police training building next to the shelter meant larger upgrades to the electrical, plumbing, and sewer.
They realize this is a building we're going to own and want to keep a long time, so let's go ahead and do the roof. Let's go ahead and put in air conditioning, which is going to be very helpful for the clientele that we're working with. Let's go ahead and change that big sewage line that needs to be taken out.
San Diego Rescue Mission President Donnie D says the work has pushed back their plans to open. But he understands the city is thinking about the long terms for the property.
They're going to rehab the building, and they're going to spend their costs up front.
That's because the city agreed to pay for the remodel, while the San Diego Rescue Mission would take care of the operating costs.
It's not going to cost taxpayers any money to fund that annual operating budget in Oceanside.
Some of the increased costs would be covered by a federal grant. The 50-bed navigation center is expected to open next month with the option of expansion.
And we're going to fill up quickly. It's a 50-bed facility, has the potential to be a 100-bed facility, and they will have 100 beds in it. But we're starting at 50 per the city's request. And once we show them that we know how to do this, so we've been doing for 50 years, and to show them that we can do this and do it with excellence, and we'll try to get them to increase that to 100.
The first clients going into Oceanside's Navigation Center will be participants from the Motel Voucher Program. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Some good news for renters. According to new data today from Realtor.com, median rent in the U.S. fell 0.5% from May 2022. It's the first annual decline in at least 3 years, and experts expect rent prices to continue to soften into next year. According to the report, the largest year-over-year declines are in Las Vegas, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Phoenix. But rent prices are rising in cities in the Midwest and Northeast. The median rent in San Diego County is $2,966. And people living in Southeast San Diego on average die 10 years sooner than people living in Central San Diego. And that is according to data from the County Health and Human Services Administration. KPBS reporter Katie Heisen spoke with an advocate who is sounding the alarm.
It should be a state of damn emergency over here.
Barry Pollard co-chairs the community leadership team for Southeast San Diego.
I have to ask myself, if these numbers were in La Jolla, would everyone be so casual with them?
Pollard says the gap is a result of many long-standing problems, but his team has identified one to tackle first. The Southeast has no 24-hour urgent care centers. They approached existing urgent care providers about changing that. He anticipates at least one location offering extended evening hours in the Southeast sometime next year. He says they will need to make community members aware of the option. Many currently rely on the emergency room.
But we have to let people know that they don't have to leave their community to go get health care.
Having a certain zip code shouldn't mean you die sooner, Pollard says, but it will take a lot to change that. More Black and Latino physicians, better transportation, wraparound services provided in the community.
Yeah, we didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to be able to fix things overnight, but we can correct the ship.
A County Health and Human Services Agency spokesperson could not provide KPBS with a breakdown of what it spends in different areas of the city, and did not say how leadership plans to respond to the data. Katie Heisen, KPBS News.
The Sweetwater Union High School District is looking for victims whose personal information might have been stolen in a cyber theft earlier this year. Officials say on February 12th, someone accessed the district's network and took online files with private information of current and former employees. The files also had information about Sweetwater students and their families. Police and a cybersecurity firm recently completed their investigation and now need to hear from anyone whose information may have been compromised. Meanwhile, San Diego Unified and almost 900 other school districts across the state are on the verge of a cybersecurity boost. Assembly Bill 1023 is expected to pass in the state Senate this summer and become law by the start of the new school year. It requires the California Cybersecurity Integration Center to share immediate threats and support targeted school districts, county offices of education, and charter schools.
We want to make sure that schools have the greatest degree of resources possible, the greatest degree of coordination, the greatest degree of support, and that support is mandated. It's not left to chance or the whims of the state agency. They are compelled to provide the support to school districts.
The pending law also requires that representatives from the State Department of Education be added to the cyber crisis response team. San Diego Gas and Electric is no longer the region's primary power buyer. As KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson explains, the company passed a significant milestone this summer.
More than 80% of SDG&E's customers now buy electricity from either San Diego Community Power or the North County's Clean Energy Alliance. That number should jump to 90% next year when Oceanside and Vista make the transition. The two nonprofit agencies promise to buy cheaper power from renewable sources.
San Diego Gas and Electric will continue our primary mission of being an infrastructure company and providing best-in-class customer service.
San Diego Gas and Electric will maintain the grid, and the company will still handle billing. In fact, the online accounts are getting an overhaul, which breaks up the bill into 3 parts.
One would be a delivery charge. That's the pipes and wires that get the electricity to your home.
2 is the actual cost of electricity bought by the CCAs. And finally, taxes and public purpose program fees. San Diego Community Power is the larger of the 2 power buying agencies with more than 900,000 customers.
At the end of the day, I believe it's a good thing for the community as well as the customer base, because we're a nonprofit, so most of our profits are going to go back into the community.
California lawmakers cleared the way for nonprofits to take on that power buying role more than 2 decades ago, but interest in the idea surged in recent years as electricity prices spiraled upward. There are 25 agencies, including the 2 in San Diego, which buy power for California residents in more than 200 cities, towns, and counties. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
More than 4,000 flights were delayed or canceled today as powerful storms ripped through parts of the country. And in the south, millions of people are caught in the grip of a crippling heat wave. Laura Aguirre has more on how people are coping.
I've had close calls with tornadoes, but nothing like this.
Indiana resident Joel McCall suffered heavy damage to his home while he sheltered in the basement with his young son and dog.
It was terrifying. Wind, the glass, him screaming. It's like I didn't even know. I wasn't sure what was going on.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, it's coming back this way. You guys take cover.
Dozens of homes and an apartment complex under construction were among many structures hit. Hundreds of thousands of people across several states lost power, with many still waiting for service to be restored. This storm front is now threatening the north and southeast through the evening hours. Damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes are possible from New England south through the Carolinas into Georgia and Alabama, says forecasters.
The 911 system is very busy right now.
From savage storms to dangerous heat, Austin Emergency Services asking residents Monday to take smart steps with their health and not overload the city's medics as temperatures in parts of the Lone Star State soar into the triple digits.
We recommend at least 16 ounces of water every hour when outdoors, and even more if you're doing any sort of strenuous activity. Dress for the heat, hat, sunscreen, take frequent breaks.
Along with Texas, millions of people from Arizona to Alabama are under various heat warnings and advisories. The Weather Prediction Center saying the increasingly dangerous conditions could last into the July 4th holiday week. I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
More wind coming up later on this evening and through tonight, right into Tuesday morning throughout the mountains and the deserts. The latest on alerts just ahead, as well as more coastal clouds. Even some of the interior valleys are looking at some of the cloudiness and cool the next couple of days, but some significant warming coming up later on this week. With that said, let's jump into tonight. Oceanside down to 57, Chula Vista 58, and down into the low 50s toward Ramona. Borrego Springs 66. Clouds again rolling back in toward coastal communities and even towards some of the interior valleys. Slow to again see the cloudiness erode along the coast as we work our way into tomorrow. Temperatures are staying down. Upper 60s to low 70s, running below the historical averages. Borrego Springs up to 101, Ramona climbing into the 80s. And away from the coast, some of the far interior valleys looking at some sunshine as we work our way toward the midday and the afternoon hours. Talking about the wind here, and we are looking at wind advisories out. You can see these again going in effect this evening right through Tuesday morning, including Borrego Springs, Pine Valley, Julian, and then areas off toward the east. Here's a look at Futurecast. You can see those stubborn clouds again hanging out along the coast here right through the mid to the late morning time frame. We will start to see some improvement here as we work our way into the afternoon. Let's jump ahead down the road and notice some of that warming I was mentioning later on this week. Temperatures climbing at the coast along with increased amounts of sunshine Friday into Saturday. More noticeable perhaps inland. Look at this. By the time we go to Friday, we're into the mid 80s, nearing 90 by the time we head our way into Saturday, but staying into the 70s here the next couple of days. There's the wind and the coolness here toward the mountains Tuesday into Wednesday. But even here, too, we'll start to see a little bit of a warming trend as we go into Friday and also into Saturday. Even more noticeable for the deserts. Look at that, 105 to 110 as we work our way into Friday and the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Justin Pavic.
AAA is forecasting a record-breaking travel weekend going into the July 4th holiday, and with so many people heading out of town, there are some key things that you should know before you go. Ivan Rodriguez has the travel forecast.
Independence Day is just around the corner, and the travel forecast is set to be hot.
AAA is predicting that nearly 51 million Americans will travel for the 4th of July weekend, and that's an all-time record for us.
AAA's blockbuster forecast predicts that of those 50.7 million travelers who will venture more than 50 miles from home, more than 40 million will go by car.
Friday is going to be the worst day for driving because everyone's going to be on the road at that time. So you can leave Thursday night or Saturday morning. That would be ideal.
And with gas prices holding steady, spokesperson Andrew Gross doesn't anticipate much pain at the pump.
As oil prices have dropped, the price at the pump has dropped too. So whereas last year people may have been paying $4.80 to $5 a gallon, now they're going to be paying $3.50 or less in most places.
But the same can't be said for the record 4.2 million flyers set to take off this weekend. Airfare is up as much as 50% over last year. To avoid the inevitable trouble in the terminal, Gross says to travel early, travel light, and stay informed.
Get to the airport on time, have the airlines app on your phone so you can check and see if there are any gate changes.
And if you've got more travel plans ahead, be prepared. This season isn't cooling down.
I think this is a real scene setter for what we're going to see for the rest of summer. If the 4th of July is really packed, then probably the rest of summer travel is really going to be robust.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Parks After Dark is returning for a second year, offering family-friendly fun. The City Heights, Linda Vista Memorial, and Skyline Hills Recreation Centers are participating in the summer program over the next 8 weeks, and every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, families can participate in free activities such as games, movies, and arts and crafts.
This is why I think it's important to have community things at the park for kids to feel safe and not to wonder, you know, am I going to be okay even just going to the park?
For information and a schedule of the events, you can go to San Diego Parks Foundation.org. Well, school is out, which means the screens are on. Kids spend a lot of time watching devices, game consoles, and so much more, especially over the summer. But Mandy Gaither offers some alternatives to beat the boredom.
If summer break is starting to lose its sizzle, you're not alone.
After a few weeks, sometimes the newness has worn off and people are looking for new things to do and new ways to occupy their time.
Dr. Gina Robinson with Cleveland Clinic Children's Hospital says screens do have their place in a child's life, but urges parents to set boundaries. She says to stick to 2 hours or less a day and break it up into smaller increments like 15 to 20 minutes at a time.
A lot of kids want to spend their time in front of screens all day. Kids are getting frustrated because their parents don't want them to sit in front of screens all day. So it can start to get a little rough.
Robinson says to talk to your kids, allow them to decide which activities to build in during the day and encourage them to get outside.
Bubbles and sidewalk chalk and jump ropes and hula hoops and just things that you can do right outside in the yard if you have a yard available or a green space available.
Other ideas, neighborhood walks, scavenger hunts, a trip to the museum or the library, which can also help when they go back to school.
Countless studies have shown how much kids lose over the summer.
Robinson says play dates are also a good way to keep kids entertained and to keep them being social.
isolation can lead to a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. It's human to want to connect with people.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, a short-lived mutiny in Russia raises questions about Vladimir Putin's future. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. Nearly 4 years later, the case involving a woman's in-custody jail death is moving forward. A nurse and doctor charged in the death of Elisa Cerna appeared for a preliminary hearing in an El Cajon courtroom today. Both pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Cerna's family says she was neglected as she died in her jail cell in 2018. Tijuana's mayor says despite threats to her and her family, the city remains an overall safe place. Mayor Montserrat Caballero spoke with KPBS about the decision that she made to move herself and her son to military housing. She says the move was made at the suggestion of Mexico's National Guard. The mayor continues to make public appearances and carry on her day-to-day work. And more people are choosing nonprofit agencies to get their energy. San Diego Gas and Electric says more than 80% of its customers are now using San Diego Community Power or its sister agency, North County Clean Energy Alliance. And those are 2 of the 25 nonprofit suppliers that plan to get power from renewable sources, which could ultimately lower prices. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.